And as we come on air this morning, we are taking a live look from MSP International, where it is popping this morning. A record-breaking 4th of July travel weekend is just getting started here. We're going to check in with Cece in a few minutes, who shares what you can expect this morning, as a lot of airports around the country are still trying to bounce back from delays and cancellations earlier this week.
Yeah, but first, everyone's looking at that forecast. People that are staying local and have a road trip ahead this weekend, Guy, what can they expect?
You know, you can expect smooth conditions, right? So safe wishes, or safe travel wishes from all of us here at KARE 11. Nothing to slow you down weather-wise today through Sunday. So temperatures are going to be hot, right? In the 90s. So otherwise, make sure you're staying cool. But we've already hit a stretch of 90s. We've had a heat wave already this season. So you know how to stay cool by now. Upper 60s, wind speeds calm right now. Dew points in the upper 50s. So not too muggy. It actually feels pretty great outside. Temperatures this morning, right around 76 by 9 o'clock. Late morning temperatures already at 80 degrees. So a quiet stretch of weather, which is great for the holiday weekend. However, I am tracking some changes with showers and storms as soon as early next week. So more on that here in just a little bit. Megan?
Hey, we're checking back in St. Paul. So this vehicle has been here for about 45 minutes now on the shoulder. So not sure what the plan is there, but just be aware 94 eastbound at 7th that this vehicle is stalled on the shoulder. Other than that, things are looking good all across the metro. Take a look at your route into work, but no matter where you're looking at this moment, it's moving along nicely. Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning. Nice to see a green map here on this Friday. Good way to end the week. Well, the holiday travel season is officially underway. And if you're ready to head to the airport this morning, a heads up.
Yeah, MSP airport officials tell us that today is expected to be one of the busiest travel days since the pandemic. Cece Gaines is live at the airport right now with hopefully good news for travelers. Hey, Cece.
Hey, pretty good news. We'll get to the bad news later on if I hit, but long lines already at 6 o'clock, still very long. You see some people even checking in outside this morning. Wait times anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. This holiday weekend, we're going to see a record-breaking number of people hitting the skies nationwide. TSA is predicting that today will be the busiest travel day with an estimated 2.82 million people. Let's take you inside here. Here at MSP, it'll be busy too with an estimated 40,000 going through security. Pretty good news this morning here at MSP. Not too many cancellations or delays. We're seeing 3 cancellations, 6 delays here. But if you have any connecting flights, make sure you check that out because it's going up this morning as far as cancellations and delays nationwide. According to FlightAware, 13,000 over that, 13,000 delays across the country, over 700 delays here as well this morning. So that has also increased since I last checked in with you. And so make sure you're checking those connections. United is leading the pack with the most cancellations, but things are expected to improve. The reason for these delays and cancellations, bad weather and staffing shortages. Staffing shortages, of course, have been ongoing and are unlikely to be resolved by this holiday weekend, but hopefully the weather stays nice because if it doesn't, things can spiral. So far as you've seen here at MSP, smooth sailing. Coming up in 30 minutes though, we're checking in with more passengers. We've been chatting with them all morning long and they're very excited to get out of Minnesota and get to their destination. We'll also be giving you some tips so that you can get through these lines a lot smoother. Jason, Alicia.
I like it. Also, I never see curbside check-in at MSP, and there's a line.
I was so thrown off by that.
Yeah.
Like, people do that?
They do, apparently, and it's nice out. All right, Cece, we'll check back soon. Thank you.
Well, this holiday weekend, many of you will also be hitting the road. According to AAA, a record 43.2 million people will be driving. That's up more than 2% compared to last year. And if you're like most people, you'll likely travel 50 miles or more. If you're heading out today, let's take a look at the gas prices right now. Across the country, it'll cost about $3.55 a gallon to fill up your tank. But here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, some good news. The average is a bit lower at around $3.45. Now, these prices are much kinder on our wallets this year compared to last year. You may remember last year at this time, it cost about $4.70 a gallon here in Minnesota. That makes gas this year about $1.25 cheaper.
This morning, we've learned there's a new closure time for the Stone Arch Bridge beginning tonight. So after getting input from the public, they decided to push back the time 2 hours. The bridge now closes at 10 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. each night through July 5th, and then will reopen at 6 a.m. every single day. It's part of the city's plan to reduce illegal activity on the 4th of July. The city's safety commissioner says they're working with limited security resources to focus on downtown and the major events that are happening this weekend.
Illegal fireworks, illegal actions is not going to be tolerated in this community, not as long as I am here.
The Taste of Minnesota and the laser show at Boom Island Park are expected to be the biggest draws of the long weekend. MPD is working with park police and other agencies to keep the holiday safe.
On the water, safety leaders say they are not messing around this weekend when it comes to drinking and boating. Extra patrols will be out on Lake Minnetonka, and for the first time, paramedics will also be on the boats helping people with everything from dehydration to cardiac arrest. Now get this, Minnesota leads the country when it comes to boat ownership. The DNR says 1 out of every 6 people here in Minnesota own a boat. I guess I'm not one of those people. When it comes to safety, we rank high there as well. Boating guide company Captain Experiences says it gathered boating safety data from the Census Bureau and found there were 1.8 boating fatalities for every 100,000 boats registered here in Minnesota. The state with the most number of boating deaths and accident, you can probably guess, is down in Florida. Now, we want you to have a safe and fun holiday weekend. If you want a full list of 4th of July events, including where to catch fireworks, all you have to do is text the word 4th to 763-797-7215. Remember, text, do not call, and we'll send you that info.
I do want to add, I was looking online, there's still sober skippers, they're called, folks that will drive your boat for you on the 4th and days around the 4th, for a fee, of course, but another great option.
Such a useful service, much cheaper than a DUI or a BUI.
Right. All right, in a matter of hours, the Supreme Court will deliver its final decisions of its term, covering a lot of major issues.
It comes after a landmark decision in the last 24 hours to end affirmative action. NBC's Danny Savalos breaks down the impact this could have on schools.
The opinion today may dramatically affect admissions policies at universities nationwide because there is virtually no race-conscious policy that will survive constitutional scrutiny. But on the other hand, the universities argued to the Supreme Court that as it is, they barely consider race in their admissions policy. It often doesn't have a final effect on the decision to let an applicant in. So there may be an argument to be made that it will be a negligible effect on what universities are doing right now.
A reaction is pouring in this morning from our nation's leaders. President Biden tweeted that he strongly disagrees with this decision. He also talked about what his administration is doing to combat this decision, including proposing new standards when selecting applicants and increasing transparency in admissions. While some organizations said they don't expect this decision to change their process, other Minnesota colleges say they're still trying to figure out what this all means for admission policies.
I think that's going to cause colleges and universities striving to create diverse classes to do more work in order to holistically assess each applicant.
The University of Minnesota says they are working to make sure that their process is compliant with the new law. Meanwhile, the Minnesota State System Office says race does not affect its admissions process, and they're working with universities that are affected.
So a lot of opinions and a lot of takes out there, but what do Americans think about all of this? A poll by the Associated Press just last month shows 63% of U.S. adults say they should allow colleges to consider race in the admissions process. However, few believe students' race should play a major role in those decisions. In the next few hours, the Supreme Court is also expected to make major decisions on 2 high-profile cases. They'll decide on religious freedom case out of Colorado, on whether a website designer can refuse to create wedding websites for same-sex couples. And the court will also rule if the Biden administration's student debt forgiveness plan is constitutional.
This morning, 5 kids are recovering from minor injuries after 2 school buses collided. You can see 4 buses stopped along 494 near the Mall of America yesterday afternoon. The State Patrol confirms 2 buses were involved in the crash. 2 of those buses were hauling trailers, and one of the trailers detached. It's not clear how the crash happened. This morning, Attorney General Keith Ellison wants Google to address a software update for Android phones that's causing a surge of accidental 911 calls. The update initiates an emergency call after 5 consecutive taps on the power button. Ellison sent a letter to Google's parent company saying that the issue is putting a strain on Minnesota's 911 centers.